Bills Mafia. Let's talk about the Bills. Obviously, one of the best teams in the AFC and therefore in the NFL. Team that's riding high, and when you got a great all-pro quarterback, a lot of other problems can get hidden up. Unfortunately, what we saw in the playoffs, there's some problems in Buffalo that started creeping themselves up. And even though they won that wild card game against Miami, things were getting shown. So what we're going to be talking about in today's episode is where are they right now immediately after the draft, and what's the realistic expectations? Are these guys cakewalking through the division again? Again, as we said, it's a very hard schedule. Playing the NFC East and the AFC West, it does guarantee you that Allen Mahomes game, which will be a great Sunday nighter at some point during the year. Hopefully it's in Buffalo. And hopefully it's snowing because I love snow games in Buffalo. I get so much joy out of those. But we look at this team overall, Bob, not a whole lot of turnover. The only person of note that left their team was their middle linebacker, Edmonds, who Chicago paid a boatload of money to. And it kind of looked like they're just trying to bring it back. I love their draft, at least the first 3 rounds of their draft. Putting Kincaid on this team, giving another pass option is never a bad thing. I would have liked them to see a veteran running back in there. I think that they've been not so secretly hiding that they wanted to do that a while. But this year they didn't get one. I mean, Latavius Murray, a 33 running back is not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about someone with some explosion or some juice. And, they don't really have it. So I look at the Bills overall. I love the Kincaid draft pick. I love what they have built in place. My entire fear, though, is we saw crumbles last year, and we didn't really truly add over the top on it. What's the direction we're looking at here for Buffalo?
Yeah, so this is the same old, same old. And so, they did pick up Damian Harris in the offseason from New England. And that adds a little bit of depth that they didn't really have with Singletary. Singletary is a different style of runner than Damian Harris is. Damian Harris is more of a plotter. And, he's going to get you the yards, but he gets hurt a lot. And so you look at this backfield and you see James Cook, you see Naheem Hines, who we thought was going to do better than he actually did there.
Aside from that kick return, what did he do?
And then you're looking at the 3 wide receivers are relatively the same. They went out and picked up Shorter in the draft, and so you're looking at basically the same problems we were seeing last year. Is that will Buffalo be able to outlast and stay healthy? Picking up McGovern in the offseason is really important because they did struggle with running the ball. And, they did struggle protecting Allen, too. Allen had to leave the pocket a lot last year. Allen is good on his legs, and he's good throwing on the run. However, you don't want your all-pro, all-star, legend-style quarterback doing that all season. It's okay for a couple of games. It's okay for a couple of drives. But when you put your main guy out on the line like that all the time, you're putting him up to be susceptible to get hurt. And so, you're going to have the problems that, Lamar Jackson has. You're going to have the problems that Justin Fields has. Now, I'm not saying that these guys are on the level of Allen. I'm just saying that Allen's playmaking ability puts Buffalo in a position to always win. And so when you look at Buffalo, well, what did they do to make this team better? They didn't really do anything big, but that signing of McGovern is really, really important because if he ends up playing all season, then Allen's not going to have to leave the pocket as much. Similarly, if Damian Harris can be the guy that can get them the extra.
Well, they did not pay him like he's the guy. They paid him like he's a third-string running back.
I'm saying if they can have Damian Harris get the 2 yards instead of Josh Allen, then that saves Josh Allen for the rest of the season. I'm not saying that they had to pay Damian Harris a lot of money because he is often hurt. But if they can use James Cook, and if they can use – James Cook is actually super talented. He looked really good in the times that he played last year. If you get James Cook and you get Damian Harris on a roll, and you get them to get the 2 or 3 yards more than Allen, then Allen's going to be in a better place come the year's end. Now, this offense all hinges on if Diggs is going to stay healthy, because if Diggs doesn't stay healthy, this wide receiver core is garbage. And I say it with the utmost respect for Shakir and for Gabe Davis. When they're put in the position to make plays, they're going to make plays.
Mm-hmm.
But they're only put in that position to make plays because Diggs is on the field and Diggs is doing his thing. Now,
that's 100% true.
Kincaid adds a component that that the previous tight end who's still there, Dawson Knox, doesn't have. He adds that extra playmaking ability at the tight end position. Now, as a blocker, the scouts have said that he gets pushed off of his blocks. He's not the best at that, but he is a good pass catcher. He has good hands. And that is the extra piece that Allen needs if that run game is going to be the way we hope it is, and Allen can get the ball to Kincaid, then this opens the top up for Diggs. This opens the top up for Gabe Davis. And this opens the top up for Shakir. And if all of the pieces work together, this team is going to be getting better as the season goes on, as long as they stay healthy. Now, on the flip side of the coin, this defense fell apart hard. This defense, granted, they rallied around Hamlin at the end of the season when he had his scare at the end of the season there during the Bengals game. And when we look at it, we say, okay, Damar Hamlin wants to play again. Well, he's not going to be featured in this team as heavily as he might have been featured had he been healthy. But this team losing Edmonds, and it's basically the same team. And so you're looking at it and you're saying, okay, did the teams that they are playing get any better? Well, the Jets did. Miami pretty much stayed the same. New England didn't. So if you're projecting ahead for
Miami took some swings, man.
I'm still saying Tyreek Hill is still Tyreek Hill.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And so this defense, they kept Poyer. They went out and got Taylor Rapp. And Taylor Rapp, for all intents and purposes, is probably a come down from the box safety who wants to hit people in the run game instead of, protecting in the pass. So you look, their defense wasn't abysmal last year, but as the season went on, they're tired. They're older. They're getting, it's not going to be good. So if in fact Buffalo wants to take the next step and win, Allen is going to have to change his play style. Allen is going to have to stay healthy the whole year. Allen isn't going to take any bumps. And you're looking at a defense that is going to have to play over the offenses that they face. And they're facing, they're going to be facing Washington, not Gap.
Aside from Philly, I think that they're going to dominate the NFC East.
And and this team, I'm not saying anything against them, but I'm saying if their ceiling is the Super Bowl champs.
Oh yeah.
And in order to win the Super Bowl, you are going to have to find a way to stop either Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes. And at this point in time, their offense is best suited to do that, but I don't believe their defense can do that. And in a shootout, I am on the side of Burrow, and I'm on the side of Mahomes more so than I'm on the side of Josh Allen.
And I get obviously where you're coming from there. Both of those offenses are more balanced as a starting point. Obviously very heavy towards the pass, but they have the ability of running. I mean, Pacheco can dominate at any point if they let him. Like if Pacheco was in New England, he'd be the first fantasy selection, no doubt.
Very good.
No doubt. My fear with Buffalo is they essentially are built in the format where they don't have an elite pass rusher. They have the wave system where they got basically 6 Bs that they're just going to wear you down. And because they have so many reps,
and I think that's
eventually going to pick off a sack.
I like that strategy.
Well, it's where they're at. It's certainly a cheaper way to build a defensive front because you're not paying one mega, TJ Watt or Myles Garrett type contract. But it does also leave you in the problem of it's crunch time. we need to get a sack to get the ball back to win this game. Do we have the ability to do it? And, you know, like I said, there's pluses and minuses too. Obviously, one of the pluses is they're fresher. So it's harder to run against them just by virtue of them being fresher. Like I said, but the downside is will the defense be able to make a stop when everyone in the world knows that that's what needs to happen in the fourth quarter? And like I said, they're one of the top 3 teams in the AFC, in my opinion. I still think that they're going to win this division, but I don't think it's going to be with 13 wins. I think it's going to be more like 11. And as a result, you're not getting the bye or anything like that. I really think Cincinnati is going to end up getting the bye this year, mostly because the East and West are playing each other. And when it's all said and done, I think it's a great road. I think it's going to be a very fun game. I hope to God they're hosting the Chargers in the playoffs and just watch the Chargers implode in the cold Buffalo. It's the playoff match I'm rooting for already, and the season hasn't even started yet. So, like I said, a lot of upside here. I love their starting point. You know, to me, obviously, Harris' health is a big deal. Not as big as Diggs or Allen's, obviously. But, you know, if Harris does play a whole year, he could resurrect his career. I mean, he could just absolutely boom.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the Bills, and I was just looking at their stat from last year, and I think they had I'm looking at their sack total, so sack leaders by team last year. Most team sacks this season. Okay. So obviously the Eagles at 70 sacks,
which was crazy good.
You're looking at the Buffalo Bills having 40 sacks. So they were directly in the middle of the road. And so you look at it, but you're looking at the teams
for
around
a team that has to lead that much, they shouldn't be.
Right?
But like you have that many more opportunities, you should be above it.
To your point, the teams that also have 40 or 39, we're looking at the Steelers, Chargers, Dolphins, Lions, Titans, Texans, and then the Rams at 38. So I'm not seeing the Houston Texans in the playoffs. I'm not seeing the Tennessee Titans winning the Super Bowl. In order to get better, to your point, their offense already runs through Josh Allen, and so they need to find somebody on defense. And maybe it's a healthy Von Miller all year. Maybe that will
possible.
Change things. And so if he's healthy all year, because I know he had health issues last year, then this team is better than all of those teams that they're going to play, minus maybe Kansas City. But I don't see them as not. I say on a neutral site.
Big ask from an aging player.
I would say on a neutral site, if you gave Buffalo 100 games against Kansas City, that the split would probably be 60-40. So if the Buffalo Bills get lucky, I think they can beat Kansas City, but I don't think they can beat them twice in a year.
Well, we'll see. I mean, they definitely will be. Like I said, they're playing each other. It's going to be a Sunday Night Football game because that's the way you would do it, and it's going to be exciting. So, so I look forward to. They also play Cincinnati as well. Both of them winning their division. So, I'm sure they're going to make a big spectacle of that. Obviously, after what happened last year in Cincinnati. So, nonetheless, I'm excited for the Bills. I'm excited to see what happens, and I think my absolute favorite part of them is. They're going to beat the Jets in Miami. It's going to be awesome. See you guys tomorrow.